The challenge no human could ever win. The war arena of Saltrax 9 was loud with alien cheers. Giant metal walls surrounded the place. Bright blue lights flashed above, showing one name on the screen. Ethan Cole, human. Aliens from many worlds had come to watch. Some sat with sharp teeth showing. Others had scales, wings, or metal skin. But all of them laughed. They had never seen a human in this arena before. At the center stood General Tharzek, one of the most powerful alien commanders in the galaxy. He was tall, with glowing red eyes and armor that looked like it was made of bone. This human, the general shouted, pointing at Ethan, will face the gauntlet of Gars. If he survives, he will walk free. If not, he paused as the crowd roared. Then he dies as a joke. The crowd laughed louder. Even the guards smirked. The general's daughter, Jaya, stood next to him. She had purple skin, silver eyes, and a proud look. She crossed her arms and said nothing. Ethan stood quietly. No weapons, no armor, just a black shirt, dusty boots, and calm eyes. He was not laughing, but he was not afraid either. The general leaned closer. No human has ever dared enter the gauntlet. You must be brave, or very stupid. Ethan looked up. Maybe both, he said. The crowd laughed again, but now a few aliens tilted their heads. That human sounded calm. The ground shook. The first trial was ready. From behind metal doors, a large alien beast entered the arena. It had 6 legs, horns like swords, and eyes that glowed orange. The crowd chanted its name. Grag, Grag, Grag. Ethan was alone in the center. The beast growled. Chains were unlocked. It charged. Jaya watched carefully. She expected the human to scream or run. But Ethan did neither. He stepped to the side. Calmly, the beast missed by inches. Again it charged. Ethan rolled under its legs. Dust flew into the air. The crowd stopped laughing. Some leaned forward. The beast turned and roared. But Ethan had already moved. He picked up a broken piece of metal from the arena floor. He didn't use it to fight. He threw it. The piece hit the beast's eye. It screamed, turning blindly in pain. Ethan ran, not away, but toward a wall. He climbed fast, using small holes as handholds. The beast followed, crashing into the wall. Then Ethan jumped. He landed on the beast's back. Using a loose chain on the beast's neck, he wrapped it around its jaws. He pulled hard. The beast roared again, then stumbled. And then, silence. The beast fell. Dead. The arena was completely quiet. General Tharzek's face turned dark. Jaya's eyes widened. No one had ever survived the beast. No one. The crowd didn't cheer. Not yet. They didn't know what to do. Ethan stood on top of the beast, breathing slowly. Dust covered his face. He looked up at the general. I believe I passed the first trial, he said. The general said nothing. He just turned and walked away. Jaya remained still. Her heart was beating fast, but she didn't understand why. This human was not supposed to win. He was not supposed to live. But he did. And he looked strong. In the dark hallways beneath the arena, 2 alien guards spoke in whispers. Did you see that? One said. He moved like he knew the beast. He studied it, like a hunter. No human is that smart. He didn't fight with strength. He used his brain. Above, in a quiet chamber, the general slammed his hand on a table. This cannot be. The human must die in the next trial. But father, Jaya said slowly, he followed the rules. He won fairly. The general stared at her. You sound impressed. I'm curious. That's all, she replied. But even she didn't believe her own words. That night, in a small metal cell, Ethan sat alone. He looked at the ceiling. He was tired. His shoulder hurt, but his mind was clear. They thought I'd scream, he whispered to himself. They thought I'd die in minutes. He smiled slightly. They're not ready. Outside the cell, hidden behind a wall, Jaya watched him through a screen. She didn't know why she came. She touched the screen gently and whispered, "What are you, human?" The human who wouldn't die. The next morning, the twin suns of Saltrax 9 rose slowly, casting a golden hue over the battle arena. Dust hung in the air like a silent warning. Crowds were gathering again, louder than before. Something had changed. This time, they didn't come just to laugh. They came to watch. Whispers filled the arena seats. Did the human really survive the first trial? Was it luck? He's still breathing. That's impossible. Ethan stood behind a heavy steel gate, waiting. His shoulder was bruised, his ribs sore, but his mind was focused. The first trial was survival. This second one, he was sure, would be designed to break his will. He could feel it in the air. Guards stared at him with blank faces, but behind their helmets, curiosity burned. A few were even secretly rooting for him now, though they'd never admit it. Suddenly, the gates groaned and opened. Ethan stepped out into the arena once more. This time, it looked different. There were no beasts, no fire, just silence. Then the screen above him flickered to life. A voice echoed across the field, calm, cold, and calculated. Trial 2. The Chamber of Echoes. 1 hour. No light. No weapons. Only your senses. Survive. The crowd gasped. Many aliens had died in this trial. Not from wounds, but from madness. Jaya sat in her private viewing box, her silver eyes locked on the entrance. She clenched the armrest tightly. She didn't want to admit it, but her heart beat faster than normal. Something about this human was pulling at her mind. Ethan walked into the chamber. As soon as he crossed the threshold, the lights died. Total darkness. He could hear only the sound of his own breath. Then whispers. Soft. All around him. At first, he thought they were real. Then he realized they were inside his head. You're nothing. You will die here. You're alone. He closed his eyes, even though everything was already dark. He didn't fight the voices. He listened, carefully. They were not random. They were part of the test. The floor shifted beneath him. Not stable. It moved like a puzzle. He dropped to one knee, pressed his hand on the ground, and counted the timing. 1, 2, click, shift. A pattern. He started moving slowly, inch by inch, using rhythm and memory. One wrong step, and the floor would drop, sending him into a pit of endless gravity. Up above, Jaya leaned forward. He's not running. He's listening. A scientist beside her nodded slowly. No one ever thought to do that before. They panic. He doesn't. She didn't reply. But inside, she whispered, "Clever human." 30 minutes passed. Then the real challenge began. Gas filled the room. Not poison, but something worse. A chemical that caused fear, visions, nightmares. Ethan started seeing things. A burning earth. His family crying. His home destroyed. People blaming him. You failed them, the voices whispered. His knees buckled. His breathing became sharp. But just before he collapsed, he remembered something. A memory. Not of pain. Of his dog, a small brown mutt named Charlie. Every time Ethan came home, Charlie jumped into his arms like it was the best moment in the universe. Focus, Ethan muttered. He grabbed a piece of cloth from his pocket, covered his nose, slowed his breath, and moved forward. Step by step. Pain in his legs. Blisters on his hands. But he moved. He endured. At exactly 1 hour, a spotlight hit the center of the arena. And there, like a ghost emerging from the dark, Ethan walked out of the chamber. Bloody, limping, coughing, but alive. Again, the crowd was dead silent. Then, applause. Not loud, but real. Some aliens stood up. Some even saluted. Jaya didn't move. She simply whispered, "He did it again." Inside the royal chamber, General Tharzek crushed a steel cup in his hand. "This is impossible," he roared. One of his advisors stepped forward. "Sir, maybe we should." "Enough," the general barked. "He's cheating. He must be. He had no tools, no help. Then someone is helping him." The general turned to his daughter. "Have you spoken to the human?" Jaya's face was unreadable. "No." He narrowed his eyes. "See that you don't." That evening, Ethan sat in the medical room. His body ached, but he refused the sedatives. He wanted to feel the pain. It reminded him he was still human, that he was still fighting. Later that night, a quiet noise came from the shadows of the corridor. Ethan looked up, and there she was. Jaya, alone, no guards, no armor. Just her tall figure, sharp gaze, and a strange silence between them. "You should not be alive," she said. "I get that a lot," Ethan replied. She walked closer, her eyes scanning him. "You didn't panic," she said. "Most warriors do." "I've been through worse," he said, then paused. "Besides, you were watching." She blinked. "How do you know?" "I saw you. In the box. Your face doesn't hide much." Jaya almost smiled, but didn't. "I didn't come here to be charmed, human," she said. "Didn't think you did. Then why are you doing this? Why not beg for mercy?" Ethan leaned back. "Because I'm not here to survive." He looked her in the eyes. "I'm here to prove something." Jaya frowned. "To who?" "To all of you." Silence. Then Jaya said something that surprised even herself. "I want to train with you. One match. Just us." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "You want to fight me?" "No. I want to understand you." He stared for a long moment, then nodded. "Tomorrow, after the third trial." She turned to leave, paused, and said quietly, "You shouldn't trust me." "I don't," Ethan replied. "But I like surprises." She walked away, but her heart was heavier than before. Something was changing, and she didn't know if that was good or very, very dangerous. The general's rage and the hidden trap. General Tharzek stood before a giant war map glowing with red lights. Every point marked a place he had conquered. Every star system represented a battle he had won. But tonight, all he could think about was a human, Ethan Cole. A small, soft, earth-born creature who had done the impossible, not once, but twice. The general's fists clenched. He had built an empire by crushing weaker races. The Gauntlet of Gars was meant to humiliate humans, not turn one into a legend. He slammed his fist on the table. "This ends tomorrow." In the shadows of the war room, his advisor, Kelver, stepped forward slowly. "Sir, with respect, if the human survives again, it might inspire rebellion, even among our own." The general turned his fiery eyes toward him. "That is why I will make sure he doesn't." Kelvar swallowed hard. "What will you do?" Tharzek leaned in. "We make the next trial look fair, but we add a trap. One no creature, not even this Ethan, can survive." Meanwhile, deep under the arena in a quiet cell, Ethan was trying to stretch his shoulder. Every muscle in his body ached. His knuckles were cracked, but his spirit, still whole. He was cleaning a bruise on his arm when the door opened. Jaya entered quietly. No armor, just a plain tunic. Her silver eyes were serious. "You should be resting," she said. "I'll rest when your father stops trying to kill me." Jaya walked in, closing the door behind her. "He's planning something," she said softly. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "How do you know?" "I know how he thinks. He will make the third trial harder. But worse, he'll make it look like an accident." Ethan stood. "Then I'll have to outthink him again." Jaya stepped closer. "This trial will not be strength or senses. It will be puzzles, machines, and a trap. Ethan nodded slowly. That's okay. You're not worried. I was, until I realized something. What? You're here. Jaya blinked. A part of her wanted to argue. Another part didn't. The next morning, Trial 3 began. The arena changed once again. This time, it was not a battlefield. It was a giant moving puzzle with spinning walls, shifting floors, and floating platforms. A labyrinth in the sky. Each platform floated above a deadly void. One wrong step, and Ethan would fall forever. The screen above read, Trial 3, the Sky Maze. Solve the maze before time runs out. Falling equals death. Crowds filled the seats again. Some brought snacks. Some brought their children. All expected the human to fall today. Jaya sat high above, eyes locked on the platforms. She had studied this maze before. She knew the standard design. But something looked off. Too many platforms, too many dead ends. Her father was changing the rules again. Ethan stepped onto the first floating tile. It moved instantly, sliding sideways. He jumped to another one just in time. The maze had begun. The platforms spun like gears. Some broke apart without warning. He had to guess which ones would hold his weight and which ones would collapse. He moved slowly at first, studied the wind direction, the platform rhythm. Then he started hopping forward. The crowd started cheering. The human was solving the sky maze. Jaya's breath caught in her throat. He's doing it, she whispered. But then, something changed. A new section of the maze opened. Blades, spinning, fast. Not part of the original design. Jaya stood up. No. The general sat calmly beside her, pretending to sip his drink. She turned to him. You added blades. That wasn't part of the gauntlet. He didn't even look at her. He is a human. He needs a special challenge. Down below, Ethan saw the spinning blades. He paused. They were fast, deadly, positioned between narrow jumping tiles. No alien had ever crossed those before. He took a deep breath. Then he ran. One leap, he rolled midair. A blade sliced the edge of his shirt. Next leap, he flipped sideways, barely clearing a spinning metal fan. The crowd screamed. Jaya leaned forward. One final jump, and Ethan landed on the last safe platform. Blood dripped from his arm. The blade had caught him. But he was alive. The maze lit up with green light. Trial complete. The crowd roared. Some chanted his name. Even, even. Others looked stunned. The general's hands tightened around his chair. Jaya turned to him. He beat your trap. Her father finally looked at her. Watch yourself, daughter. You speak as if you admire him. She stood tall. Maybe I do. He raised an eyebrow. Careful. Feelings like that get warriors killed. She walked away without answering. Later that evening, in a quiet storage room behind the arena, Ethan leaned against a metal wall, wrapping his wounded arm. Jaya entered. For once, she looked unsure. I warned you, she said. And I thank you. You still went through it. I had to. She sat beside him. For a moment, there was only silence. Then she asked softly, why do you fight so hard? What are you really trying to prove? Ethan looked at her. I'm not just fighting for me. I'm fighting for every human who's ever been mocked, laughed at, or treated like we're nothing. He paused. And maybe, I'm also fighting for you. She looked confused. Me? Yeah, you're trapped here too, just in a different kind of cage. Jaya looked away. No words came. But deep inside, a wall had started to crack, and something unexpected was beginning to grow between them. She trains him in secret. Night fell on Saltrax 9. But even in the darkness, the arena glowed, its massive walls pulsing with alien energy, hungry for more blood, more entertainment. The city outside was a maze of towers, flickering lights, and silent shadows. And in one of those shadows, a figure moved, quick, silent, like a whisper in the dark. Jaya. She wore a dark cloak, her face hidden, her steps swift. If any guard saw her, they'd think she was on patrol. But she wasn't going to report in. She was going to see him. Ethan was already waiting inside the empty weapons hall. It was built for warriors to train in secret. No cameras, no records, no rules. He had cleared the floor, lit a few small fire lamps, and stood barefoot, bruised but steady. Jaya entered quietly and pulled down her hood. Neither of them spoke for a long time. Then she tossed him a wooden training staff. "No blades," she said, "just movement. Show me what you've got." Ethan caught the staff and nodded. They circled each other. Jaya moved first, fast, smooth, like water. Ethan blocked, sidestepped, swung low. She grinned. "Not bad." He grunted, "You're holding back." "I'm studying you." The fight picked up speed. Wood cracked against wood. Sparks flew where the staffs collided. But as they moved, something else danced in the air between them. Tension and trust. Ethan was no alien warrior, but he was clever. He learned quickly, used momentum instead of force, and began to predict Jaya's movements. After a long clash, they both stepped back, breathing hard. "I didn't think humans could fight like that," Jaya said. "We don't always use strength. We use pressure points, angles, balance." Jaya walked to the wall, poured them both a drink from a water flask. "So that's your secret?" she asked. "Balance?" Ethan sipped and nodded. "Balance in the body. Balance in the mind. You lose one, you lose both." She stared at him. "You talk like a monk." He chuckled. "Maybe I was one, before all this." For the next few days, Jaya came back every night. They trained without weapons, using only hands, movement, and breath. They talked between rounds, about Earth, about alien empires, about the meaning of honor. And slowly, carefully, the walls between them began to fall. One night, after an intense sparring session, Ethan sat on the cold floor, wrapping a cut on his wrist. Jaya sat beside him, watching. "Why do you risk helping me?" he asked. "If your father finds out." She didn't answer at first. Then, quietly, she said, "Because I'd lived my whole life following someone else's path. I never asked who I was without him." She looked at Ethan. "You fight like you know exactly who you are. I envy that." Ethan leaned back, breathing deeply. "I didn't always," he admitted. "I used to be a nobody, a lab tech on a mining ship. No one cared about my name. No one asked what I wanted." Jaya tilted her head. "Then what changed?" He looked up at the flickering light. "They took everything from me. My crew, my friends, burned in a political game between your empire and another. No one was punished. No one even said sorry." His eyes hardened. "So I found the next ship, signed up for this gauntlet, and came here." Jaya was silent for a long time. Then she said, "You chose death." "I chose a voice," Ethan replied. The next day, Trial 4 was announced. A trial of strength. A test known as the Pillars of Tharn. It was a long, narrow bridge suspended high above the arena. Dozens of stone pillars lined up like giant steps, but they were spaced too far apart for normal creatures to jump. Below the bridge was a pit of acid mist that burned even steel. Ethan stood at the edge, staring across the impossible path. The screen above read, "Cross the bridge. Do not fall. Use nothing but your hands and feet." The crowd watched in silence. This was it. This was where even the bravest had died. From the audience box, Jaya clenched her fists. She had trained him. He had balance, control. But these pillars required more than that. They required trust in the unknown. Ethan moved. Not fast. Not slow. Each leap was planned, measured. The wind howled. The bridge shook, but he did not fall. Halfway through, the final challenge began. The pillars started shifting. One by one, they moved in random directions. Some spun. Others tilted. Ethan paused, calculated. He waited until the rhythm matched the patterns Jaya had taught him, then leaped. One last time. And landed on the far end. Whole. Alive. Victorious. The crowd erupted in thunderous applause. That night, Jaya found him in the quiet hall again. But this time, she didn't bring training staffs. She brought food. Real food. Warm, spiced, and carefully wrapped. Ethan looked at it and smiled. Trying to impress me now. She rolled her eyes. You've had nothing but nutrient packs. I thought you deserved a taste of real life. They sat together in the dim light, eating slowly, their shoulders brushing every now and then. Jaya looked at him, her voice softer than before. My people would say I'm dishonoring my bloodline. Ethan looked at her gently. Then maybe your bloodline needs a little dishonor. She laughed quietly. A real laugh. Then she whispered something that made Ethan pause. I had a dream last night. Yeah. You died. And I screamed. He looked at her seriously. And what do you think it means? Jaya didn't answer right away. Instead, she leaned closer, just a little. Just enough for her voice to reach only him. It means I don't want you to die anymore. A secret discovered and a painful choice. The moon above Saltrax 9 was red that night. Red skies meant war in the ancient alien tongue. But no one in the Empire saw what kind of war was coming. Not yet. Inside the training hall, hidden beneath layers of steel and silence, Jaya sat close to Ethan. Their food trays were empty now, their bodies still. But their minds, full of something unspoken. Jaya looked at him like she hadn't looked at anyone before. Not with suspicion, not with rivalry, but with wonder. You've survived 4 trials, she whispered. You've done what no one believed possible. Even me. Ethan leaned back, breathing slowly. You helped. She shook her head. No, you didn't need help. What you needed was someone to see you. I think I needed that too. Ethan smiled softly. Then maybe we're both survivors. Jaya turned serious again. Tomorrow's trial will be worse. My father, he knows we've been meeting. Ethan's smile faded. He knows. He hasn't said it out loud, but I saw the way he looked at me today. He doesn't need proof. He just needs an excuse. She paused, then looked into Ethan's eyes. You need to run. Ethan stood. No. You'll die if you stay. I'll die if I don't finish this. Jaya's voice cracked. Why? What are you trying to prove now? Ethan stepped closer. That we're more than what they say we are. That humans can't be controlled, mocked, or thrown into pits for sport. And that even in the heart of your empire, one voice can still shake the walls. Jaya stared at him. She wanted to say more, but footsteps echoed in the hallway. She turned sharply. We're out of time. What they didn't know was that they had already been seen. A pair of glowing yellow eyes watched them through the ventilation shaft. A small drone hovered silently, recording everything. And it belonged to General Tharzek. In his private war chamber, the general watched the recording in silence. Jaya, his daughter, his pride, his warrior, laughing with a human, touching him, training him, and worse, caring for him. He crushed the drone controller with one hand, sparks flying. She chooses the enemy, he whispered coldly. Then she will share his punishment. The next morning, Ethan was pulled from his cell early. No guard spoke to him. Their faces were hard, cold. They dragged him to the center of the arena. No time to stretch, no time to prepare. The arena floor was different now. A pit. Circular. Surrounded by sharp walls and electric spikes. Above, On a high platform, General Tharzek stood with his hands behind his back. His armor gleamed under the morning sun. Beside him, Jaya, in chains. The crowd gasped. Ethan froze. "No." The general's voice boomed across the sky. "Today's trial is betrayal. My daughter has broken the laws of war. She has aided the enemy. She has betrayed her blood." He turned to Jaya. "And so, she will suffer with him." The platform split. Jaya was dropped into the pit. Ethan ran forward, catching her before she hit the hard ground. She groaned. He knew. "I know." They stood together now, trapped, surrounded by walls. The general's voice returned. "Trial 5. 2 enemies. 1 weapon. 1 may live." A small metal hatch opened. A single weapon dropped from above, a sharp double blade. The meaning was clear. The crowd knew it too. This was not a test. It was an execution. Jaya stood beside Ethan, breathing hard. "You have to kill me," she whispered. "It's the only way you survive." Ethan looked at her like she'd lost her mind. "What? You kill me, the Empire will see it as strength. They'll let you move to the final trial." He shook his head. "I'm not killing you." She grabbed his shirt. "You have to. Please, I'm not afraid to die." "I am," he said, voice breaking. "I'm afraid of losing you." Jaya's eyes widened. "Then what do we do?" Ethan looked at the walls, at the crowd, at the weapon. Then, he made his choice. He picked up the blade. Jaya looked away, her hands curled into fists. But instead of swinging it at her, he threw it. Up, straight into one of the electric towers. It exploded. Sparks flew. The shock shorted the rest of the wall. A weak spot. He grabbed Jaya's hand. "Now we run." They climbed the wall together, using the damaged wires as steps. Guards shouted. Sirens blared. A blaster shot grazed Ethan's leg. He grunted but kept climbing. Jaya moved like lightning. She grabbed a guard's weapon, shot 2 sentries, and pulled Ethan to safety. They vanished into the tunnels beneath the arena. The crowd had never seen anything like it. Some cheered. Others screamed. But one thing was clear. The human didn't just survive the trial. He broke it. Hours later, in the deep outer ring of the Empire, far from the palace and lights, Ethan and Jaya hid in an abandoned tower. Ethan wrapped his leg. Jaya sat beside him, shaking. "You didn't have to save me," she whispered. "I did." "Why?" He looked at her. "Because I'd rather die with you than win without you." Tears filled Jaya's eyes. Alien or not, warrior or not, this man had changed everything she believed. "You fool," she said softly, then leaned in and kissed him. The human who changed a world. Rain fell over the edge sectors of Saltrax 9. Not real rain, manufactured stormwater from the upper towers, meant to keep the lower zones from overheating. But to those who lived in the outer rings, the rain felt like truth. Cold, dirty, real. Ethan Cole sat beside a broken power relay, holding a cloth to his wounded leg. His back rested against a wall covered in old war posters, images of Tharzek with his fist raised, symbols of fear carved into every building. Jaya stood nearby, her cloak soaked, her hair stuck to her face, silver eyes glowing in the dark. Neither of them spoke for a while. Their breath came slow, heavy, but not from weakness, from the weight of what they had just done. They had escaped the gauntlet. Together, they had survived 5 trials. And now, they were hunted. In the far distance, alarms still rang across the city. Patrol ships roared overhead. Guards searched every corner, scanning for human heat signatures, tracking stolen DNA. Jaya stared up at them. "They'll search everywhere. They'll never stop," Ethan said quietly. "Not until I'm dead, or until your father loses control." She turned to him. kneeling. Then let's make him lose it. That night, in a cold steel hideout in the worker zone, they met with 3 other aliens. Not soldiers, not elites. Ordinary people. A young engineer with glowing tattoos. A quiet old medic who had once healed prisoners in secret. And a small alien girl no older than 12 who had seen her parents taken by the general's soldiers for simply whispering about peace. Jaya introduced Ethan to them. This is the one from the gauntlet. The human who survived 5 trials. The little girl stepped forward slowly and touched Ethan's hand. You're real, she said in awe. He knelt. What's your name? Sorry. He smiled. Thank you for being brave. Sorry. She beamed. Over the next days, word spread across the lower zones. The human lives. The general's daughter is with him. They defied the trials and won. Aliens who once cheered for Ethan's death now whispered his name with respect. Some with hope. Jaya found herself becoming something new. No longer a weapon of her father. Now, she was a voice, a guide, a leader. She trained the younger ones, passed on the moves Ethan had shown her, and told stories of how he used his mind, instead of brute strength, to beat the gauntlet. Your father will call this treason, one rebel said to her. Jaya looked them in the eyes. Then let him. Ethan, meanwhile, spoke to engineers and workers. He helped fix broken machines. He learned their power grids, their weaknesses. He asked questions others had never dared to ask. He wasn't just building a rebellion. He was building trust. In time, others came. Disgraced soldiers, tired miners, even former guards who had once watched Ethan suffer, now silently offering weapons, maps, and codes. They weren't fighting for Earth. They were fighting for change. One night, as Jaya adjusted Ethan's bandage, she asked softly, Did you ever imagine this? You and me. Here, doing this. Ethan shook his head. I imagined making a statement. I never imagined starting a revolution. She smiled faintly. Then let's finish what we started. Inside the Imperial Tower, General Tharzek watched reports pile up. Unauthorized protests. Disappearing patrols. Broken propaganda screens. Whispers of an army growing in the shadows. And always at the center of it, the name Ethan Cole. Enough, he growled. This ends tomorrow. He slammed a code into his control panel and activated the old program. Final trial protocol. Empire execution broadcast. Back in the hideout, an emergency signal lit up their old holoscreen. Jaya stared at it. No. Ethan stood beside her. The message was short. Tomorrow, at the heart of the arena, the general himself will host the final trial. The rebel human is invited to face judgment. No tricks. One last challenge. If he wins, he walks free. If not, the rebellion dies with him. Jaya turned to him. It's a trap. Ethan nodded. Probably. You won't survive. He turned to her. If I don't go, they'll come for all of you. Jaya's hands curled into fists. Then I'm coming with you. Ethan grabbed her hand. No. If I fall, someone has to lead. Someone stronger than me. She stepped closer. You still don't get it, do you? Get what? Jaya's voice cracked. You made me stronger. You showed me I don't need to be his daughter. I can be someone new. Someone better. She took a breath. I won't let you walk into that arena alone. Ethan stared at her, then nodded. Then we go together. At sunrise, the arena opened once more. But this time, it was different. The crowd didn't laugh. They didn't cheer. They watched. Silent. Waiting. On one side stood the general, in full armor. On the other side, Ethan and Jaya. No weapons. No tricks. Just 2 souls against an empire. The general falls. A new age begins. The sky above the arena was gray. No music. No celebration. No laughter. Just silence. The kind of silence that comes before a storm. Inside the arena, every seat was full. Aliens from every caste, every system, and every planet under Tharzek's rule had gathered, not to watch a game, but to witness something they had never seen before. A human, a rebel, a warrior, Ethan Cole. And beside him, walking without fear, was the general's own daughter, Jaya. The crowd didn't cheer. They didn't boo. They watched. Because something had changed. This wasn't just another trial. This was the end of something, or the beginning of something greater. At the far side of the arena stood General Tharzek, towering in dark armor. His face was unreadable, but his eyes burned with quiet rage. His empire had cracked beneath his feet. Now he would crush the symbol of that crack. With his own hands, the arena floor shifted. A circle formed. Walls rose around them, closing off the outside world. Inside, only 3 people remained. Tharzek, Jaya, Ethan. The general's voice echoed. This is not a trial. He looked directly at Ethan. This is your execution. Jaya stepped forward. No, this is your trial. He turned to her. You've already been judged. Ethan pulled off his jacket. His body was bruised, scared, but still standing. You called me weak, stupid, a joke. You threw monsters at me. Puzzles, poison, lies. He stepped closer. I survived them all. The general didn't blink. Because my daughter protected you. Ethan shook his head. No, because I believed in something you forgot. The crowd leaned in. Humanity, choice, hope. The general snarled and drew a massive plasma blade. The crowd gasped. Jaya's hand hovered near her side, but Ethan touched her arm. Let me do this. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. The duel began. The general struck first, fast and brutal. His blade hissed through the air. Ethan dodged, rolled, but barely escaped. The blade grazed his shoulder. Blood spilled. Jaya watched with her heart in her throat. But Ethan didn't fall. He rose. He picked up a discarded staff from the arena floor. Light, worn, not meant for a real battle. Still, he stood his ground. You shouldn't be standing, the general growled. Ethan answered, breathless but firm. That's the thing about humans. We always stand. The fight raged on. Ethan ducked, countered, disarmed traps built into the arena. He used the environment, jumping off cracked stone, sliding under falling panels, forcing the general to move where he wanted. Every time Ethan was knocked down, he got up. Every time the crowd thought he would die, he found a way. He wasn't stronger. He wasn't faster. He was smarter. He was human. And that was his power. The final blow came when Ethan twisted away from a strike, grabbed a chain hanging from the arena rigging, swung around the general, and wrapped it around the giant's arm. Using the general's own strength against him, Ethan flipped the massive alien to the ground. Silence. Tharzek lay on his back. Ethan stood over him, holding the staff, breathing hard, but not striking. The general looked up. Why wait? End it. Ethan dropped the staff. No. The general frowned. You show mercy. No, Ethan said. I show change. Jaya stepped forward. This is what you fear, Father. Not weakness, but growth, forgiveness, peace. She looked up at the screens, the crowd, the world watching. You made us fight for blood, but he made us fight for something else. She turned to Ethan. What are your orders? He didn't speak for a moment. Then he said, no more trials, no more slaves, no more fear. The crowd remained still. Then one by one, they stood. First the outer rows, then the balconies, then the high towers. No weapons, no yelling, just silent unity. The message was clear. The empire no longer belonged to Tharzek. In the days that followed, something impossible happened. The gauntlet was shut down. The arenas were turned into healing centers. Jaya and Ethan met with leaders of old resistance cells, former soldiers, and outer world colonies. They signed the first peace pact in 3 generations, and Ethan became something greater than a survivor. He became a symbol. A month later, at the same spot where it all began, Ethan stood before the rebuilt arena. Now quiet, now peaceful. Beside him, Jaya placed a small banner into the ground. On it, a symbol no one had seen before. 2 hands, 1 human, 1 alien, held together in a circle. Unity, strength, hope. As the sun rose over Xaltrax 9, Jaya leaned her head on Ethan's shoulder. "You know, my people have a tradition," she said softly. "What kind?" Ethan asked. "When a warrior saves your life and sees you for who you truly are, you don't call them ally." She turned, smiling gently. "You call them mate." Ethan smiled. "Well then, I guess I've been called worse." They both laughed. The sound echoed through the empty arena, not as a cry of battle, but as a promise. The world had changed, and it began with a human who refused to die.